ठहर जाइए, कोई प्रॉब्लम हो गई तो कहाँ ढूंढेंगे आपको?
फैंटेसी अखाड़ा का 24/7 कस्टमर सर्विस है, आपकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करवा देंगे।
कल जाने देंगे।
फैंटेसी स्पोर्ट्स का असली अखाड़ा।
इस गेम में वित्तीय जोखिम के तत्व हैं और इसकी लत लग सकती है। कृपया जिम्मेदारी से और अपने जोखिम पर खेलें।
कितने पैसे चाहिए?
पैसा नहीं, इज्जत। मोहल्ले के चिरकुट लौंडे हरा रहे हैं फैंटेसी स्पोर्ट्स में। आप एक्सपर्ट हो, सिखाओ।
सिखाऊंगा तो जाने दोगे?
हाँ।
फैंटेसी स्पोर्ट्स का असली अखाड़ा।
इस गेम में वित्तीय जोखिम के तत्व हैं और इसकी लत लग सकती है। कृपया जिम्मेदारी से और अपने जोखिम पर खेलें।
Hello and welcome to the Outside View presented by Fantasy Akhada. So the Indian fans would be happy there with a whitewash. Of course, Harmanpreet Kaur as a captain would be happy there. And our experts are also happy because they were also once again spot on with their predictions. So before I start talking about it, let me welcome our experts on the show, Mohit, Shah and Annesha, Ghosh. Welcome both of you to the show. So we had Thirush joining us in the pre and the mid show, and she had picked Nilakshi De Silva as her pick of the batter for Sri Lanka, and today we saw that she made valuable contribution with the bat. And of course, Annesha had said that Meghna Singh would be the one who would be her pick, and she did give you an early breakthrough, 2 wickets. So that is a pretty happy mood here in the show as well. But before we start talking about India, let's just talk about Sri Lanka. Today we saw that there was a captain's contest going on there. Harmanpreet Kaur gave us the wicket of Chamari Attappattu. In the first innings, we saw Chamari Attappattu pick up the wicket of Harmanpreet Kaur. So two captains taking each other's wicket. This has happened last in the year 1991, which was probably 9 years before I was even born. So we are all lucky enough to witness this today. But it was an intriguing contest, and Chamari Attappattu today was looking very much comfortable, positive. She came with the intent of chasing down the total, and that wicket was a big one for India, wasn't it, Annesha?
Absolutely, that's a great stat dug up by one of our stats wizards on the internet, on Twitter, Hypercost, if I'm not mistaken. So well done on that, and well done to Women's Creek Zone's team for mentioning this to you as well, Ashwini. The competition between the two captains squared off evenly. All scores have been settled, given both of them got each other out, literally cancelled each other's innings out when both of them looked set to go on to scoring their respective centuries and half centuries. That was not to be for either captain. Sri Lanka's batting, yes, there were going to be questions asked of them against this Indian bowling attack, given they were already on the back foot, having lost the series. And the question was about whether or not they could salvage that consolation win. That wasn't to be, despite the valiant effort of Nilakshi De Silva, somebody, one of our experts, Thirush, really spoke highly of earlier in the day. Highest ODI score of 48 not out, and she happens to be the second highest, run scorer across both teams in this ODI series, and she's batted only in the lower middle order, so that speaks of the value she has added to this ODI lineup of the hosts with a crucial knocks. So all of them have come in losing causes, but the experience she has on the international circuit, she does not quite wield the big hitting prowess that she had, say, in the last tour of India, the last time India toured Sri Lanka in 2018. But she has really dug her heels in and frustrated the Indian bowlers. Today as well, she denied them that wicket and remained unbeaten. When things look like, they are going to hold for a below 190 sort of a score, she hauled them all over to 216 and, brought down the deficit of the margin of loss, which again should inject some confidence in them because they were able to get past that 210 run mark. But overall, it's been a disappointing show overall from the Sri Lankan batting lineup. Chamari Attappattu 44 not out set the tone, but other teammates could not really follow up on that despite Nilakshi De Silva's efforts and some 10-15 run cameos from other middle and lower order players.
Well, Sri Lanka did reach that 200 mark, and that should be a positive for them because we've seen their batting unit struggling a tad bit in recent times. Let's have a look at the batting scorecard of Sri Lanka to see how things panned out for them. Of course, we saw Chamari Attapattu coming in early there and opening the innings today, making a point there because she came in to bat at number 3 in the second ODI, and we were all expecting that she comes to open the innings today, and she did score those 44 runs, important 44 runs for the side. Hasini Pereira stayed firm at the top order, scoring those 39 runs. And then, of course, we see that 48 not out from Nilakshi De Silva. Very important contribution coming in there. But somehow, if you have to talk about the entire batting unit of Sri Lanka, Vishmi Gunaratne is also one name that we were discussing about a lot. She got the opportunity to make her debut in the first ODI, but haven't really her performance haven't really came to the fore until now. But how does in a team management you deal with players, the youngsters like this, Mohit? Because it's important that they also come and express themselves. We of course know Sri Lanka also has quite a few experienced players in their setup. So how would you see Sri Lanka approaching the upcoming challenges that are in store for them after having lost the series 3-0 at home?
Yeah, I think they lost the series, but they did have quite a few positives both in the T20Is and in the ODIs. And like you said, a lot of older players are in the team. So you need to see whether you want to stick with those older players or give more youngsters an opportunity, firstly. And secondly, they have this promising core of youngsters in Vishmi Gunaratne, Harshita Madhavi, and Kavisha Dilari. So those three are all capable of taking up three of the top six spots in the batting order. So I think just give them more opportunities to fail, give them a fixed slot or a fixed role so that even they know what is expected of them and they can approach games with greater clarity. Sri Lanka now has a coach like Hashan Tilakratne, who was known to be very technically sound, was a very good batter at the test level for Sri Lanka. So if these youngsters get 6 months or a year of working with him, I'm sure they can like incorporate aspects into their game that are currently missing. Because all these three players have played one impressive innings through this series, but that consistency is what is currently lacking. So the talent is clearly there. What they need is more opportunities to fail so that they can then succeed consistently. So I think the talent is there. Just back them and give them clearer roles.
This would be the things that Sri Lanka's think tank would be eager to solve and hope that Sri Lanka might come with a stronger performance. They have, of course, a lot of positives to take from this series. But if you have to talk about India's bowling unit now, we saw Meghna Singh pick up 2 wickets there. We also saw Pooja Vastrikar in good form. Rajeshwari Gaikwad amongst wickets. How was that, Annesha? Because we saw that probably she was quite economical with the ball in the first 2 ODIs, but wasn't amongst wickets. But today she picked up 3 wickets.
Certainly, and she was able to get good turn on this wicket. Initially, it did not look like the rank turner we've seen in the previous games on this tour, but Rajeshwari was able to give it a good break, good flight, and she got the results because there were so many instances when the Sri Lankan batters, be it the right-handers or the left-handers, were beaten for turn, and it literally looked clueless. You know, they were doing a lot of shadow batting, which kind of speaks a lot about the uncertainty such disciplined and accurate bowling plants in the heads of batters. So Rajeshwari Gaikwad, I think she looked immensely well. She's looked the best today than she has in any other game on this tour so far. So incredibly positive sign this for India going into the Commonwealth Games, because even in the T20Is we did not see her bowl her full quota of overs in all of the games she played in. So maybe there was some elements that were holding her back, or the lack of faith on the part of the captain in terms of utilizing one of her strike bowlers. But the way she was utilized, credit also goes to Harmanpreet Kaur, the way she was handling her resources, marshalling her troops, so to speak. And Rajeshwari Gaikwad put her hand up, got those key wickets, as did Meghna Singh. You know, she was playing second fiddle away from the spotlight while Renuka Singh grabbed it with both hands. They grabbed all opportunities that came her way. Just kept bettering her performance. Until today, she wasn't among the pick of the bowlers, which happens to every athlete. You know, not every day is going to be your day. Meghna Singh gave them that first breakthrough, as predicted rightly by women's cricket zone's experts. And following up on that were the other bowlers. And Harmanpreet Kaur, again, credit to her simply because she was able to bring in those changes. Part-timers, change bowlers like herself and Harleen Dior struck in their respective first overs. And when she reintroduced some of her strike bowlers like Pooja Vastrakar and Rajeshwari Gaikwad, they were able to deal some crucial blows as well. So all in all, it went pretty well. It was all in sync for the batting unit and the captain's plans, and it shows in the results. India had a 3-0 series sweep over the hosts in their bag.
And with that, they also equal South Africa there in the points table, the ICC Women's Championship cycle, because after the win against Ireland, we saw South Africa top the table. Now India have their with this whitewash. But let's have a look at the bowling scorecard before we proceed with what could be the concerns or what are the positive areas for Team India ahead of the Commonwealth Games. Of course, Renuka Singh Thakur was quite impressive in this series. We, of course, talked about that fun fact wherein she picked up 1 wicket in her first, second, 2 wickets in her second ODI, three in her third, four wickets in her fourth ODI. Meghna Singh today, yet again, 2 wickets there to her name. Rajeshwari Gaikwad, as we just spoke, that it was a positive to see her get amongst wickets once again. Pooja Vastrakar with 2 wickets. And Harleen Deol, of course, got that 1 wicket. And as we see in the bowling scorecard, India has a lot of bowling options there. But that also brings us to another topic. What about Poonam Yadav? Of course, we were talking about this after the second match, that can we see Poonam Yadav get into the side for this third ODI? Probably since the last few months, we've seen her in and out in the Indian team. She stayed away from being a part of the playing 11 for long. But with the kind of how does the management deal with that? And what do you see? How do you see Poonam Yadav's future with Indian cricket here, Mohit?
Yeah, I think like with the experienced player like Poonam Yadav, like if you're picking her, she has to be in the playing 11 or else she shouldn't be a part of the 15. And this has now happened in two tournaments back to back. Like in the World Cup, she played just one match, which was against Bangladesh, which was probably because of the pitch. Like India played all their spinners in that particular match and didn't really have much to do with Poonam Yadav. And this series also, she hasn't gotten a run either in the T20Is or in the ODI. So the clear message that comes out is that the selection committee and the team management are not on the same page when it comes to Poonam Yadav, because this is a player who's repeatedly getting picked in the 15 but not getting picked in the 11. So she's played like one out of maybe 13 or 14 matches that India have played. So I think like Poonam Yadav, we don't know. Like India's spin continues to remain a problem. So I think she's still, her international days are not behind her. But I think it's better to pick a younger spinner in your squad of 15 if you're just having them there as a backup and not have someone like Poonam Yadav, because she has enough international experience and you know what she offers. Poonam Yadav has been bowling the same way for many years now. It's not like her game has changed or she started bowling quicker. Whereas if you would have had somebody like Maya Sonavne or Aarti Kedar or even V Chandu, they would have like benefited a lot more by just being part of that squad, getting to be around players like Rajeshwari Gaikwad. Harmanpreet Kaur herself is a spinner. Ramesh Pawar was a very good off spinner, won a lot of matches for Mumbai on the domestic circuit. So players can learn from the coaches and the senior players, but you need to have the right players in your squad of 15, because I don't think Poonam Yadav is at that stage in her career where she is looking to learn new things, because had that been the approach, it would have happened by now. But if that hasn't happened, there are certain limitations in terms of the way she's built. Like you can't suddenly expect her to bowl at the speed of Sophie Eccleston or Hayley Matthews. But at the same time, like the variations and changes in pace is something that has been lacking for a long time now. She's still one of India's best spinners, but I don't think she should be in the playing 15 if she's not going to be in the 11.
That probably is one thing to be discussed when it comes to the management and the teams, the team discussions there. But the another discussion that might be there is about Richa Ghosh, for that matter, because we're all aware of her potential. We've seen her perform for the side with her attacking game. But in the recent times, she's been struggling to pile up runs there. She's very young, probably just 19. In this case, how do you what role does the management, the captain, and the team environment plays in bringing up the player and allowing them to come out and express themselves here, Annesha?
Yeah, the first agenda, the first item on the agenda should be instill a lot of confidence given she's very young, as you rightly mentioned. So you've got to, have those discussions with somebody as young as Richa Ghosh. The Indian team has had the services of a psychologist for the past year and a half now, though she's not traveling with them in Sri Lanka. What Harmanpreet Kaur said at one of the press conferences during this tour is the Indian team does resort to her advice once in a while. So that is where the psychologist Mugdha Bavre does come into play and will have a crucial role to play in how the future of these youngsters who've done well but are going through a bit of a rough patch at the moment shapes up in the coming years, in the coming weeks and months, because there's a lot of cricket to be played, mind you, and the workload will only keep increasing. More so if there is a women's IPL on the horizon in 2023 or 2024, whatever be the case. So even on the international circuit, the calendar is packed. They play the Commonwealth Games, they stay back, play England, followed by the WBBL. And Richa Ghosh was one of the players who participated in the WBBL the last time around. Did she get a contract this time around too? That remains to be seen. But whether or not she does, it doesn't have a bearing on the fact that she will again be in contention for a place, for the series against Australia in home later this year. So there's a lot of cricket heading into that under 19 World Cup, inaugural World Cup that takes place next year in January in South Africa, followed by the Senior T20 World Cup. So given the magnitude of the import of these big ticket events, Richa Ghosh has nothing to lose heart about or feel low on confidence. Yes, she's going through a phase where the runs are not coming and she's getting out to what would make her feel quite deflated. It happened with Jemima Rodriguez back in 2021. She was playing those, she was trying to flick the ball. She was ending up finding the fielder at mid-on, at mid-wicket, deep mid-wicket. And something similar is happening with Richa Ghosh here. So you've got to give her a lot of confidence so that she doesn't, drift away mentally. And she is very much part of the mix. Given she is the future, we've seen her, doing great things ever since coming onto that World Cup final in T20 in the T20 World Cup final in Australia as a concussion substitute. So ever since, she's shown that she's got the smarts with the gloves as well. So she just needs her opportunity. And given Yastika Bhatia has been given the mantle behind the gloves, probably that has played at the back of her mind. She enjoys keeping. She can bowl as well. So she has a lot of backup options in her CV to resort to when it comes to taking a claim for a place in the side. Complete omission from the playing 15 is not on the cards as far as Richa Ghosh is concerned. So there is not everything is lost for Richa Ghosh just yet. So she's just got to enjoy her game and give her every opportunity, every room to continue growing, evolving, and having that enjoyment and love for the sport she is playing.
Certainly, Richa Ghosh CV is strong, and it's probably just about that one innings until she gets her form back. But as you rightly mentioned, Annesha, that we have a lot of important series and tournaments coming in, and in that case, probably another worry for Team India could be the position or the form of Deepti Sharma. Because if you have to talk about the statistics, then since 2021, Deepti Sharma has averaged 26 with the bat, 40 with the ball. Of course, we know that she's been a part of some of important wins for India. She's contributed in every way possible. But is that a little worry for Team India considering the upcoming important games, Mohit?
Yeah, like I think the thing with Deepti, she's had a really good ODI series against Sri Lanka. And 2021 was one year where she really struggled, but this year she's actually done pretty well, especially with the ball. Like I think she's the sixth highest wicket taker in ODIs this year, and three of the names above her have played more matches. So she's done quite well. And especially after getting dropped during the World Cup and then coming back in the match against South Africa, I think her bowling has been pretty impressive. She was very good in the women's T20 challenge as well with the ball. But her batting has really regressed in the past few years. So I don't think Deepti Sharma is now a batter who should be batting in the top six in this Indian batting lineup. She can play as a bowling all-rounder. But then the decision that you need to make is there are a couple of other bowling all-rounders in the team. There's Pooja Vastrakar here who's done really well and who now I think without any doubt is India's lead all-rounder in all formats. And the other option that you have is Sneh Rana, who's not a part of this squad. She's probably rested. At least that is what the official version is. So she's rested, but she did really well at the World Cup and has done really well since her comeback into the Indian team. And Harmanpreet herself is an off spinner and a batting all rounder in this team. So I don't think India would want to play three off spinners on most days, especially considering Rajeshwari Gaikwad has had a really great year, bowled really well again today, is India's leading wicket taker this year in ODIs, was India's leading wicket taker at the World Cup. So Rajeshwari Gaikwad is your lead spinner. Pooja Vastrakar is your lead all-rounder. Harmanpreet Kaur is your off-spin bowling batting all-rounder. So in India, can only play one out of Deepti Sharma or Sneh Rana. Now that is the call that they need to take. And Sneh Rana, at least in the ODI format, hasn't done too much wrong to not be a part of the playing 11. So maybe Sneh Rana can be the first choice in India's ODI team going forward, and Deepti Sharma can probably be the first choice in T20Is because of her ability to bowl well in the power play as well as at the death, which is something that Sneh Rana hasn't done yet at the international level. She's done it in domestic cricket for Railways. So I think Deepti Sharma is more or less a certainty in India's T20I squad. So we will see her starting in the Commonwealth Games. But when it comes to the ODI squad, I think Deepti needs to find greater consistency and start contributing more with the bat if she wants to remain a certainty in the Indian team. Because to be fair to her, with the ball, she's done quite well this year so far.
Certainly, and that was a lovely insight on what could India's ODI and T20I setups would look like. But the ODI and T20I series, if we talk about against Sri Lanka, then India, of course, won it 2-1 the T20I series and 3-0 the ODI series. And of course, Harmanpreet Kaur would be a happy soul, a happy captain. She's the player of the match today, and of course, the player of the series for her contributions, her all-round performance. Of course, we have been talking about her performances, but as a captain as well, she's seemed that aggressive captain coming in and expressing herself. We've seen her do that since always. But how big a positive this is for Team India, Annesha, because we know that we have Commonwealth Games coming in, we have important series coming in, and Harmanpreet Kaur at her best is just a side that all Indian cricket fans would want to see.
Absolutely, Ashwini, and it augurs well for Indian cricket in general, not just for the fans, because this 3-0 series sweep perfectly segues into the major event season ahead of us, starting with the Commonwealth Games, and there is the T20 World Cup where India will look to vie for that elusive maiden world title that they've been looking to get for so long, have come quite close on a couple of occasions, but haven't still been able to get it. The third T20, the third ODI where she was the player of the match, it was the perfect day at the office for the new ODI captain in Harmanpreet Kaur, because with the bat, with the ball, with the captaincy, she was all over Sri Lanka. There was not a wrong step that she put as far as her performance, her own performance as an individual player, as well as the captain in this series and in the third ODI goes. The way she batted, that 75-run knock was crucial in rescuing India from a 5-wicket collapse that had just happened after what looked like a steady partnership between Shefali Verma and Yastika Bhatia. Her 7-wicket, 97-run stand, Harmanpreet's with Pooja Vastrakar really was the difference, because you could see that Sri Lanka came as close as 260. It's not as if they folded for 180, 160 odd. So that partnership was quite pivotal in making sure that India walk away from Sri Lanka with a clean sweep in their bag. And Harmanpreet's approach in that innings was as crucial as fantastic to see, because it wasn't as if she was going hammer and tongs against everyone. It was a mix of caution and aggression that she really blunted the attack with against the likes of Inoka Ranavira, Kavisha Dilhari, and even Chamari Athapathu, who eventually got her out. She was batting at a strike rate under 80. But against the likes of Oshari Ranasinghe and the young leg spinner Rashmi Silva, she was going at over 100. So that speaks of the calculativeness that Harmanpreet Kaur has historically brought to her approach in terms of constructing an innings. And with the ball too, she was as quick thinking as possible, because she introduced herself right after the power play in the 11th over as a change bowler and struck with the prize wicket of Chamari De Silva. She followed that up with the way she rotated her bowlers, ensuring that there was no stasis that set in the way the Sri Lankan batters were going about, or the way the bowlers themselves were resting out there on the outfield or some such. And with the captaincy too, we saw, the bold call she made. She was the sole fielder in the slip cordon in the 28th and 29th over of the chase, when all seemed to have been pretty much over. And she was the slip fielder for Deepti Sharma. So you don't really see such bold or out of the box field settings from Indian captains. We've not seen that for a long time. We've seen Smriti Mandhana, captain as well. We've seen Mithali Raj. We've seen Harmanpreet Kaur, and we often talk about the difference in captaincy styles and approaches. So Harmanpreet, I think, is really, really enjoying herself. This was a fifth 50-plus score in this year, and her overall tally of runs this year has gone to 533 odd, which is the highest, the best ever haul she has made in a particular calendar year. So that is really testament to the headspace Harmanpreet Kaur, India's premier all-rounder in terms of, India's premier batting all-rounder is at the moment, because coming into the series, it was going to be all eyes on Harmanpreet Kaur because she was taking over the captaincy reins from Mithali Raj, and she's done really, really well by playing a starring role, player of the series in the T20I leg of the tour, player of the series in the ODI leg of the tour, and it really begs the question, are the stars aligning for something special that we might see? We'll have to wait and watch come the Commonwealth Games. So, dear viewers, watch this space, follow Women's Cricket Zone, because I'm sure Women's Cricket Zone are going to put out a players watch section. Oh no, I'm just kidding. I don't know what the production plans are, but it might just happen. So, here's looking forward to what Harmanpreet Kaur has to offer in the coming months.
Well, definitely we've got that one input from Annesha. So we have to put the players to watch out for. But as you mentioned about Harmanpreet Kaur, it literally gave me goosebumps. And she enjoying herself on the field is something that we all crave to see, we all love to see. And that's a big positive for India when it comes to the Commonwealth Games and everything that's in store for the Indian team. Of course, India dominated the proceedings against Sri Lanka, winning the T20I series and the ODI series as well. A happy mood in the Indian dressing room and a lot of learnings for Sri Lanka. To all our viewers and our guests, of course, thank you so much for joining in for all the pre, mid and post shows. And we'll, of course, keep you updated on all the other updates on women's cricket on Women's Cricket Zone.
ये पक्का
अब सीख तो गए, अब तो जाने दो मुझे।
ठहर जाइए, कोई प्रॉब्लम हो गई तो कहाँ ढूंढेंगे आपको?
फैंटेसी अखाड़ा का 24/7 कस्टमर सर्विस है, आपकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करवा देंगे।
कल जाने देंगे।
फैंटेसी स्पोर्ट्स का असली अखाड़ा।
इस गेम में वित्तीय जोखिम के तत्व हैं और इसकी लत लग सकती है। कृपया जिम्मेदारी से और अपने जोखिम पर खेलें।